I turn on iTunes, I do a search for podcasts, and there's somebody whose show I'm going to be on very soon. I got invited to be on this show. Pretty cool. I know this person peripherally, at least, and honored to be invited to be on their show. So I'm looking through the previous guests and the previous subjects to see if there's anything. I want to get a flavor of the show. I want to get a sense of what the show is about. I want to get a sense of how the host hosts and what that's going to be like, and have a sense of if there's been any similar subjects. Suddenly I look down the list of the guests. There's not any names that particularly stand out. One that sounds kind of familiar, but the subject is interesting because the subject is about purpose. Okay, cool. Well, I speak a lot about purpose, so maybe I can learn something new. Let's see. I'll have a listen. So I'm listening to this show, and I'm listening to this person speak, and, and I'm working away on my stuff, and I'm sitting. You do that. You're sitting there, and you're working on things, and maybe the podcast is going in the background, and I'm listening to this podcast, and thinking, wow, that sounds familiar. Yeah, wow, this guy's this guy and I have got quite a few things in common here. He's saying some of the same messages I am. Pretty interesting, listening. Goes on to his next point. Yep, that's pretty familiar. Now I'm paying less attention to what I'm doing. I'm typing out, but I've suddenly slowed right down in what it is that I'm typing, because now I'm really starting to listen to what this guy has to say. And then he says this thing about vulnerability. I thought, wow, that's pretty strong stuff he's saying about vulnerability. And I think, yeah, that is very interesting what he's saying about vulnerability. I'm listening even more carefully now. Then he goes on from that, and he starts talking about millennials. And I went, oh, this is very interesting. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm getting a little bit pissed off here. I'm getting a little bit fed up with this, because this guy is saying almost word for word what is mine. Well, knowledge is common. There's a lot of it around. People learn from all different places. Maybe this guy sort of got some of my stuff, or heard it somewhere, or maybe heard a podcast like I'm doing right now, and sort of took in some of it, and maybe that's where it came from. So I'm listening a bit more, but the more I listen, the more irritated I'm getting, the more I'm feeling myself getting agitated. Because this guy is saying word for word my material. What's more, I feel not only frustrated and agitated, but there's something else. There's something, and I can't quite, and it's like you can't quite put your finger on it. I'm like, what is this? There's something here. So suddenly I stop. I take a moment, I stop. And I go, hold on a sec. Let me look back through the names. And I'm looking back on that podcast list, and start looking at the names, and I realize this guy's name is familiar to me. So I do a search on my computer, and I find that this guy has taken an appointment with me, something I offer people. I give them 20 minutes for me to give them some guidance or help in some way that I possibly can, to see what I can do to assist them. And this guy had taken one of those appointments about 6 months ago, and had asked me for some guidance, some insights in what he was doing, and I had given that to him freely, willingly, happily, happy to serve. And I realized, because and I actually see in the notes from that he tells me in there that he's been following me and what it is that I do for about 2 or 3 years, and obviously has been taking a lot of notes, and he has just done this podcast that I'm listening to, where he is saying my stuff word for word from the notes of whatever it is that I from my articles, from my podcast, from all these different places. And I went from feeling like, what the hell's going on, to feeling pissed off to a whole other level. And let me just tell you what happened. I'm feeling like pissed off, and I'm actually thinking, do I need to write to this guy and give him a cease and desist and say, like, listen, dude, you know, this is not very cool, because it's not very cool that he's passing off my material as his own. You know, and there's a lot of years of research into what it is that I've done. So I'm kind of fascinated by that. And I'm really thinking about it, and I'm considering it. Got to tell you, I was seriously considering it. And then, as I sort of sat back, took a moment, and I remembered something that one of my mentors had said to me when something very similar had happened years ago. And we were sitting in my office, and I was talking about how frustrated I was that somebody had stolen a bunch of my material. And my mentor at the time leaned in and says, "You don't get it, do you?" And I'm like, "Clearly not, because I'm a bit upset right now." And he says to me, "Let me just put it to you this way. Let's imagine that somebody took all of your material, say even a couple of hours of a workshop or something, and then presented it word for word." And I said, "Okay." He said, "How would you feel about that?" "I'd feel a bit upset, feel a bit frustrated, I would imagine." He says, "Yeah, I can see why. I can see that that's what's happening, right?" "Yes." And he said, "Now think about this. Pick somebody in your mind who might do that." Well, of course, I picked the person who had already done it. "Okay." And he says, my mentor says to me, "Now, I want you to shift positions." And what I mean by that is, instead of being yourself and frustrated with this, I want you to move into that room and imagine yourself standing behind the speaker, but nobody can see you, but you can see the audience, and you can see the impact that this speaker is having on the audience using your words, word for word. How do you feel about that? And again, still frustrated. But he said, no, just take a moment and let yourself feel as you pay attention to the audience. And I said, I didn't feel like I was really getting it. And he said, here's the thing. He said, as you're watching them, are they getting the same thing out of it that they would have gotten if you'd have shared it? That man just joined this podcast. Stefan, good to see you on here. Stefan says to me, are they getting the same impact when it's delivered by somebody else? He says, what you've forgotten is that it's not just the content. It's who you are in delivering it. You know, the old saying, right? What is it? Copying is the highest form of compliment. I don't think it is that, but it's a quote similar to that. So what was this person doing when they were stealing my material? Well, they're giving me a compliment. Did it feel like a compliment? Of course not. But here's the thing that's really interesting. Here's the thing that's very interesting. Is word for word, does it matter? Or does it matter what you infuse into what it is that you share? There is very little new knowledge in the world. It's how that knowledge is compiled, certainly, that makes it unique. It's the research behind it and the compilation of it that makes it unique. But more than anything, it is the personality, it's how you are and how you deliver what it is that you deliver that will make all the difference. And that's the part that moves you away from competition, as Stefan Stavrakis, who is on here right now, taught me. The competition is not in the content. It is in the delivery. It is in who you are. It is in the personality of who you are. Thank you, Peter. Imitation is the most sincere form of appreciation. It's who you are. It's how you deliver what it is you deliver that will make all the difference in the world. Much more than the actual content. Yes, you need your mind and you need your intelligence in compiling that information just the way that I have done. But the delivery of it, the passion, the connection, the emotional content, that's what makes all the difference in the world. I'll give you a great example. I want you to go bake a cake, okay? Go bake a cake, and I'll even give you the recipe of all the ingredients to put in the cake. Now, I'm going to give you the recipe to my cake, my famous cake. Let's imagine. Not that I'm a baker by anybody's imagination. But imagine that I give you the ingredients, all of the ingredients to my special cake. I give you all these ingredients, so you've got the list of ingredients. However, I don't give you the amount of each ingredient. And I don't give you the order in which the ingredients have to be added together. And I don't tell you how long they have to be baked. Do you have all the ingredients to make my world famous cake? The answer is, of course you do. But is that what really matters? Or is it in the combination of the right amount of each of those ingredients that really matters? Is it how they're put together? Is it the right amount of heat that is delivered, and when it's delivered, and for how long it is delivered? And that's what really makes the difference. There's something unique about you, and I'm going to tell you, people in this world, particularly today in the world of the internet, are going to steal your shit. It happens all the time. It's gotten to be kind of funny. But nobody is ever going to be Dov Baron. And so what I want to challenge you to do is, rather than stealing anybody else's stuff, think about how you can deliver what you have in your way. There's something unique about you. How you compile the ingredients. You see, if I tell you the ingredients for my cake, and I say one of the ingredients is flour, well, isn't that in every cake? There's nothing particularly unique about it. It's the combination. It's find your own combination. Find your way of combining those ingredients, what it is that makes it really work. That is what's going to make you really shine. That's going to make what it is that creates the delivery, the impact that you can deliver in whatever it is you're doing. And I'm not talking about speaking or consulting or even writing. I'm talking about whatever it is you do. Whether you are in the sign business, as Zachary is, who's on here, whether it's you're an emotional intelligence coach, as Anne is, who's on here, whether you're a writer, whether you're a speaker, whether you're whatever it is that you do. Maybe you're a plumber, but it's how you do it. It's the combination of how you do things that will make you unique, rather than the material that you share. Now, I know that lots of people out there have taken tons and tons and tons of my material, and I'm certainly not condoning you doing any of that. But here's the thing, you'll never be me. The best you could be is a really poor imitation. You can be a spectacular you, and I can never, ever compete with that. Be yourself. It's the most valuable thing you've got. Until next time, Dov Baron, FullMontyLeadership.com, saying stay curious, my friend. Stay curious about what's unique about you can bring to the world that will really have impact. Spectacular impact. And how do you do that? Find your purpose. Till next time, Dov Baron, FullMontyLeadership.com. I am out. If you found this valuable, please share it with others, and please leave me your comments and your feedback below. And if I didn't get to answer it immediately, I definitely will. Till next time, I'm out.